So Henry's going to start us off. He has a new collection out, Screens. I'm super psyched to read it and hear it tonight. And this is your third collection, is that true? So cool. All right. And I'm super happy that you agreed to read for us. So thank you for coming. I'm not going to talk anymore. Everyone, help me welcome Henry.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you for coming out, everybody, here to hear some poetry tonight. I'll say a word about the books. They're free. You can take one and pay as much or as little as you want to the donation place that I have over there in the links inside of the books. You'll see inside the books there's a little place where you can do a QR code. The money from there will go to USA Save the Children. And the reason are a couple of reasons. One is that we have just cut off, as a nation, we've cut off USAID and any aid to the global south and to people who could use the money and the resources a lot more than we can, certainly a lot more than I can. So feel free, take the book, please. My donation is just buying the books. I have bought it from my publisher, Broadstone Books. I want to begin with my essential critique of this world of screens that we have wrapped ourselves around. This is April 2nd. Heroin, all morning. Floral, helium, buds of remanufactured sunlight. Skip the ads. Your video will play in 5 blockchain dreams. Smooth, this getaway. Beachy clean, all dope. Midweek neuron holiday. Never has there been such rendered skin a-clicking. It was heroin all morning, teeth clenching, jaw dropping, eyes wide, cable tied, fluttering, inconsequently shut. Your show starts in 4 incremental seconds. Upgrade now, save your work, fade to white. Hold that rubbery thought by the edges. Break the bank, win all over and over again. Every day is all day. Hits begin in 3 more lines. Herons all morning, like flying rooftops over bright blue bays, blinding, breathtaking, authenticated. Choose a vision. Take the quiz. How many do you see? Rate us, make us, show us, skip the ads. Your video starts in 1 more crystal meg. Remember, look, out, react, tap, keep tapping, drop the needle into the groove song. This is a poem of the loneliness that we have set ourselves into with our screen world, the personal loneliness, if you're young and single, whatever. This is adulthood. I announce my leaving early. I go upstairs to find my coat. A pair of stragglers in the alcove, sneaking a smoke. A group of women talking by a wall in a room, expanding in the dark. My gracious host standing in the hall appears lost for a second, skyward eyes searching as a child arrives in fire engine pajamas. Guys downing beers as a quarterback is looking for a receiver in the family room downstairs. People are glad I came. I've got my coat, the car keys. I'm given a slice of leftover cake. The car is down the block. Houses follow along the tree-shadowed sidewalk. Above us, the stars, each one a burning furnace. Okay. This is a love poem for my wife, and she doesn't like poetry and doesn't read my books. So she doesn't know that every single one of them is chock full of poems to her. This one I originally wrote for Karen Alanier's From the Belly series on Gertrude Stein, and was appeared in that series. This is an open piano. It was the day I noticed the mustard jar squatting heavy on the refrigerator shelf. The day I looked up the word awkwardly in our blue, promiscuous dictionary. Yes, it was the day I noticed my socks running out of thread, so I called upstairs for a hand. That day, the one when the telephone was left off the hook and almonds broke out all over us. The very day I handed you my driver's license and took your glass of warm, refreshing milk in a careless, never-ceasing way. You know, that day The time I heard a sound like a salon coming out of our living room. The day I looked in to see the black enameled cover lifted off the piano and keys exploding all over your finite grin. That day when nothing stood between us. Okay, 31. So who says that a poem can't also be a disaster film? And, and so this one has a happy ending. This is The Survivors. Minutes after liftoff, as the houses below were disappearing, the landing gear fell off. The engines exploded and the floor gave way. A salesman with a laptop belted to his seat followed me down, families of 3 and 4 falling together with seat trays and carry-on bags. And we were buzzing the cityscape like wingless dragonflies, strapped into cushions, scattered and speeding to the ground in multiple pathways, like neutrino souls indifferent to the feel of matter, penetrating the roofs of malls and stores, hitting the ground and slicing through the surface of the earth, descending through layers of clay and crust and molten core, our clocks going backwards, north and south, collapsing in sheets. We were the dead, and the dead spun round, but pulled up now to the world of the sun again, through lanes of underground surfaces, opening to light the way. I glimpsed a boy still in his freckles. We're almost there, sir. Looks like we're going to make it. And bathed in the field of light gravity that is always with us, I found myself standing still, up on top, with 2 feet before a strand of poplar trees bristling in the shine we share, not with the gods, but with the ground, breathing in the moist aroma of midday soil on the other side of the world. These two are a companion piece that come near the end of the book, and I was trying to capture that moment of happiness that comes to all of us and then disappears almost as soon as it gets there. Here, and trying to get that feel. This is Jersey City. It was probably just the gentle tapping of brakes, the way a car will come to rest at a red light in the rain. On the corner, there was a green and white Go-Go Mart appearing in the rainwater light of my windshield. A night store, open 24 hours, and I was happy to see this store. The items inside crayon bright, set out in rows by a red smock woman working alone, her outline melting in the drizzle of my window, minding her store at night. Her freezers, her magazines, her lotto machine, her coffee pots, all quiet and still. She was a red smock woman, her store a fluorescent rainbow cast across the splashwater street, and I was happy to be stopped waiting on this flawed corner of paradise as the light was turning green. The companion poem is right on the next page. It's called Moosography, and it is a reference to Elizabeth Bishop's famous poem, The Moose, where happiness is a moose that appears in the middle of the poem. This is Moosography. On that meteor shower night, you nudged my hotel robe open, the way a moose will nose the gate of a farmer's fence with antler-like surprise. Like when you told me the 5 crazy things you believed in most, and 5 moose appeared on the crest of an apple tree hill. And sometimes we'll be recalling those strange, hard days, and you'll work gently with moose awareness to suck the sugar from a maple reminiscence, as when I was writing the poem, Jersey City, and a moose looked up from behind the counter of a rain-washed 7-Eleven to show herself in full. This is, my hair turned 72 today. I celebrate you in mild shampoo and ravish you in sweet conditioner. For all we've seen, my stalwart strands, from baby oil to beetle bob, from grease and goo to just for men. We've watched the continental drift of bald spots forming, work to keep this head together. The who we are, this coif, this style, our way of not being someone else. God is said to know your very number. Does he grieve for those impaled on bristled brush or caught between the teeth on some indifferent comb? You, my loyal companion, I praise and thank for not running off this stage too soon, for tirelessly framing my unsteady face, and not forcing me to wear a hat. This is one that snuck into the book because most of the poems were written before our present bout with authoritarianism. And this is it. This is the one that snuck in. It was a late comer to the press, and I threw it in at the last minute. This is the origin story of night. It's difficult to claim the sun is real because first you have to know exactly what it is and where it starts and where it ends and how it hurts the eyes of any witness, but also where it's never seen or how it seethes in graves beneath the ground. And furthermore, you have to know the way a king will hide its light to make himself the center or say the sun does not exist for fear he'd have to share it. Okay. A couple more. We're getting near Halloween, so I thought I would do this one. And this one is, this one actually won the rattle contest. News. People who poets respond. I've done that for years. Never got a bite. It's very hard. Never got a bite. But it was Halloween about 2 years ago, and this is a haunted house poem with an ecological theme. This is As We Were Saying Good Night. Someone noticed a television left on in one of the rooms, so a couple of guys headed upstairs, and it was reassuring to know that it was under control. But noises kept coming down the hallways, and floors began groaning with the feet of searching people, turning on lights and looking into rooms, and sometimes shouting, "I've got it," which some people believed while others stayed more skeptical, patting the walls and opening doors like the young woman who discovered a bathtub she couldn't stop overflowing, or the lawyer who came upon a stove with lit burners and an oven leaking gas, and they twisted the knobs right and left to no effect as the air got thicker and the smell of distant smoke, even as we climbed to higher flights where we stumbled upon a floor of mouse traps so dense you couldn't breathe without setting them off. So we stood frozen together, and I bid goodnight to Jim and Martha Winkler, who were lost in thought as they considered the situation under the remorseful gaze of a wall-mounted moose. As one of those lights went dark, and the glint dimmed in the glass eye of a stuffed monkey, as the moon escaped the only window. And this one is afterwards, where I am going to set forth the end of the universe, how this is going to happen. So this is my poem at the end of the universe. Afterwards, in time there'll be no houses, and with them no garages, and with them no 4 square windows with the smell of putty and glass. They will not be there. No oily odor of gasoline on cement in the shady space beneath the car. None of it will be. And there'll be no coming home from a late night drive, and with that, no speeding cars or night-defying headlights hovering inches above the ground on multiple freeways. That will not be there. And with them will go the roadside diners, and with them there'll be no griddle cakes, no burned coffee on chipped white cups, just the black, no longer hot, holding all the secrets. And now the last poem of the night, the Monemvasia Nocturne. I was in the city of Monemvasia, which is in Greece, and this is a city that is on the it's on the water. And I was about a mile out from the city, walking in, and as I was walking at night towards the city, I saw it, and the poem came to me, and I picked up my phone and spoke it into my phone, and I made very few revisions. And when I got to the city, I remember saying, I think that's the last poem in Screens. I think that's a good way to end this book. And it is the last poem. This is Monemvasia Nocturne. Drawn by the lights of a distant city, I followed the shadows to a place where I was welcomed as if returning to a home I'd never left. The cabarets were filled with blue smoke and barrel house piano. The men held their women with open arms. Lovers exchanged fingers. I took a partner who pulled me to her rhythm. I couldn't find the plot. There was no antagonist. The moon and stars gave in to the mountains, shouldering the night. Thank you very much.
All right. So next we're lucky to have Sunayna with us, and she has art as well as books here. Yes. So after the reading, hopefully we can take some time and look at that. But for now, let's enjoy her reading as poetry. Everyone, please welcome Sunayna.
I'm glad so many of you are here despite the time change. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to know people have come for the first time. So thank you for that. And before we start, can we give a big round of applause for Kristen for doing this for so many years and coming here despite of her health. So when India was divided, the Indian subcontinent, when it was divided, Hindus came to India and Muslims went to Pakistan. Yeah. My family was in Pakistan at the time of division. So yeah, my grandparents were in this part of Sindh, as it is called now, of Pakistan. And actually, it was decided that the people, whoever and wherever they are, will stay wherever they are because there was India is a peaceful nation. But and in 1947, when the partition happened, it actually was so for about 3 or 4 months. The partition was in August, and till December, there were no riots. Everything was actually pretty peaceful. And then there were riots. And then my family decided to come to India because that was safer. And I was born in India. My parents were born in India. And this book is about partly based on whatever I have heard. My dad's eldest brother used to take care of me. My mom and dad both went to office and they went to work because they were starting from scratch. They had to leave everything, and I mean not them, their grand state had. So they were busy establishing a life, and my dad's eldest brother was retired when I was born. He looked after me, and I used to call him Dada because my granddad was long gone. Dada means grandfather. He used to tell me stories about his mom. Or he was 13 years old when he sat on a ship to come to India. And he was so afraid. He was like, this building is moving. How will this building not sink? What is going to happen of this building? But he came to India and he really worked hard. But small scars were there. They used to bleed sometimes, and he used to tell me about stories about the amount of sand that was there in Sindh. Small statements like this, and his in his heart he used to tell me that you and I will go back once at least. We'll go back. In 2000, I forget the year, doesn't matter. Many years back, he passed away, and during COVID, I was seeing a movie. Um, it was about Kashmir, not about Sindh actually. But in the end of the movie, the protagonist actually ended up going back to his ancestral village in Kashmir. He also was had to exile. And I was like, wow, I can't even go back if I want to go back. I don't know where to go. My dada is long gone, and nobody knows where to go. And this poem came out. It's called Karachi because that's where my dada was from. He told me he wants to go there. I told him I want to go there too. He told me about the big koti. I told him I want to see it really. He told me he would never forget the trees. I told him I wish I could see it sooner. He told me about the sand and the hills. I told him I was glad he knew the landmarks. He told me he was getting old. I told him I still want to go, they're just busy. He left me without a warning. I am left with no one to show me where the house is. So, if someone would have told me 2 days before I wrote this poem that you would be reading a book of poetry, I would have laughed and how I have always shied away from my identity because not a lot of people get it. But then a few poems did come out and I didn't know what to do with them. So on a whim, we critiqued it first in a nice poetry group, but after that I sent it across to see, who knows. And this poem that I'm going to read next is called Sand, and it was published in a journal in UK, and it received a lot of love. They told me to make a video of the recording, they told me to send it across. This poem was also in a museum in UK, and I feel so much love from UK, and they have healed the scar a little bit. Sand. Every morning she would sweep and sweep and sweep, but tiny particles accumulated yet again, making her sweep in the evening anew. Every day she hoped she wouldn't have to sweep. Every single day she cursed each and every particle as she swept the nikammi sand and prayed for a life where she didn't have to sweep, where she could spend time with her kids, making pakwan, applying henna, or watching them play. Never did she imagine partition would make this silly desire come true, giving her the urgent new dream of returning to her home filled with sand. Has anybody seen any image of the partition? There's one image that always comes is that a train bursting with people and they're like hanging on to the train for their dear life. And there's one more image that really struck my heart was it's on the river where people are trying like carrying their whole life and trying to go, and I have been told, obviously I wasn't there, that these should hurl stones at each other and try to inflict some amount of harm for whatever injustice they thought was done to them. Ants in a line along the river Sindhu, carrying their little lives, small gutteries on their puny shoulders, growling stomachs, dried tears, bruised feet, and bleeding wounds. Faces hidden, voices muted, horses, camels, bullocks all crawl together, dodging flying stones. This is the last poem I'll read from this book. There's a word we used, and most critique groups I went to said, emulating is such a bad word for poetry. It's not a poetic word. You can't use that word. I was like, yeah, but the emotion. This is the only word that's going to help me with the emotion. So let me know if what you think about this word. At the threshold, they left their khusa at the door, not knowing they would have to run barefoot. They left the hot koki on the kuttaji thali to eat daan from banana leaves. They left the empty sky that never cried, ever thirsting to learn new things. They left the kafi in Siraiki to hear hushes, swears, and cries. They left the Cheti Chand Jomelo, celebrating their savior from Mirksha. They left the lights twinkling only to see them from Dongar Hill. They left not knowing they'd ever go back. Dongar Hill is actually a place in India from where you can see Karachi. Thank you. From something so serious, I'm going to take you on a small ride. Again, during COVID, my younger one was born and the whole world was closed. We didn't know where to take him. He still is a very annoying and, as you can see, a very lively boy. We didn't know what to do with him. The whole day, if we keep him at home, we would have to tear our hair apart. And the only place we realized that he would be calm and quiet was in the park. If we'll go hiking or trekking or just walking, and the Rock Creek Park uh, is our family favorite because it's straight and we can walk with him there. We used to go on the dam, sit on the Needwood lake, and just he would be quiet. One of those days I was there, and the grass was feeling so green and clean and awesome, and I was like, I just want to roll in this. And this poem came to me, and the only thought in my mind was, I just hope this grass doesn't have any pesticides on. But this first poem came, and again I wasn't very confident. I'm like, who's going to buy a book about these who's going to think about what will happen of this poem? And I sent it across, and actually one honorary mention in Arlington, the moving words competition. I was like, okay, maybe somebody will. And then we went to India for the family vacation, and we were jet lagged. Like it had been more than 4 years. I had forgotten what jet lag is, and I was horribly jet lagged. And at 4 in the morning, I remember I was up in my husband's village. And in villages, it's even more quieter than it is here. And there was some devotional music playing somewhere very far, but I could still hear it. And all three of them were almost asleep. They weren't bothering me, at least. And I got these poems. And I remember feeling this thought that if this book gets published, I'll write about this part. How did these poems come, and how did this particular, when I was working on the poems, how did it feel like? He's wiping with his sweater. So the first poem, which actually got the honorary mention, is titled "Please Don't Walk on the Grass." And have you seen these YouTube videos where they say switch to 1.5 speed for a better experience? This poem feels better if you close your eyes. Please don't walk on the grass. Lie down and stretch out. Remove your footwear. Let the glistening grass tickle your soul. Caress the glowing clouds. Lay your obligations gently on the plaid blanket. Let them rest with you. Toss your burdens in the stream. Watch them sink. Stay there till butterflies catch you. The last one from this book, it's titled Park Closed After Sunset. Park closed after sunset. Don't hurry back to the world. Nature's hour extend beyond time. Notice how birds fly back home. Watch artwork evolve after sunset. With silhouettes of trees against the sky, immerse yourself in a symphony of crickets. Float on pathways now bathed in starlight. Glitter scattered on celestial seas. If you yawn, swallow the moon. Thank you again for everyone who's come here. I know it was a different date. People came last week as well. This book is still not confirmed, the date is not confirmed. But there's one poem I would like to read, especially because of the times we are in. And this poem was the winner in last year's Arlington Moving Words. This whole book is about my dad. He passed away in 2011 with a year of battling cancer. This poem has come much later though, but it works. The poem works based on where we are in life now. What coping feels like. Oh, I must say, this is the first time I've ever reading this poem to any group, actually. So thank you all again for coming. What coping feels like. Have you ever sat on your foot until it forgets it's there? Completely numb. And when you place it softly on the carpeted floor, there's nothing. No sensation, no spark. Just a weight where your foot should be. A stranger to itself. With each step, a quiet ache filled with needles you learn to carry, and somehow you walk anyway.